Recording. Welcome back to Spiral Secrets, Pain-Free Performers. I'm Coach Tommy. I'm joined by Dr. Landon. You can find me on Instagram at Coach T Lamb. You can find Dr. Landon at Posture Doctor on Instagram. Today's topic is ankle sprains, ankle rolls. I deal with a lot of basketball players, so I see this happen almost every other week. So we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about our own ankle sprains and where they come from, how to deal with it, recovery, traditional advice, all that stuff. So Dr. Landon, how many ankle sprains have you had in your life, man? I know you played a little basketball. How many times have you had that terrible feeling?
Easily over like 10 times. Like
10 times?
Yeah, in my lifetime, for sure. Because,
Okay.
like the risk goes up every time you get an ankle sprain. Your risk for another ankle sprain goes up and up and up.
Okay, so if you're playing basketball, guys, maybe listeners don't know that their risk goes up every time you get an ankle sprain. So explain why the likelihood of you rolling your ankle again or spraining your ankle again goes up with every sprain.
Well, pretty much after you sprain your ankle, you injure the joint a little bit, right? So the integrity of the joint is not as stable. It's not as strong. It's not as, it's probably misaligned. So if you don't get it realigned and you don't get it healed properly, rehab properly, then you're playing basketball on a foot that's at like, let's say 85% when it's fully healed. And then you play again, and then you're playing on 85%, you roll it again, you heal it, and then now you're at 80% fully healed. And so the risk goes up and up and up.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what is the traditional or the common practice of recovery for an ankle sprain?
They usually, in the acute stages, when it first happens, they'll usually RICE it, which is rest, ice, compression, elevation, right? Which is pretty standard. Then after that, they'll usually do like some single leg balance exercises, some like mini band things to like, I don't know what the mini bands really do, but they usually try to strengthen the ankle in like these, two-dimensional movements, maybe forwards, backwards, a little bit of side to side. But it's not really comprehensive.
And so I've dealt with a lot of ankle sprains myself. I've rehabbed a lot of people. And now that it's kind of on this new path of thinking and more holistic thinking, I know the traditional way is mini bands are on the foot, up, down, left, right, go through the alphabet. Towel grabbing with the toes, heel raises, calf raises, stretching. What else? Inversion, eversion, without getting too technical on the guys. And then a lot of hip stability and hip strengthening. So I know I'm a little bit more advanced, I guess, in my approach, but now that I think about it now with kind of this new lens or putting the whole joint connected to the whole body together, I have a more holistic view on how I would actually heal somebody or get someone on the healing process. So what would you say is a better route to go, or what path can we set these guys on if they just rolled their ankle? I know RICE is actually, I don't really believe in that too much anymore. So
Yeah,
what do you think, man?
That used to be the old way of thinking RICE, but research shows that that's not really the most effective way to do it anymore. But typically what I would do for an athlete.
So hold up. I'm coaching my team. Boom, they go up for a rebound and they land on somebody's foot. What should I do, man?
Well, if it's really bad, if they're out of the game, then they got to rest. Like that part is legit. They got to, they should basically compress the area because it's going to swell up, right? The swelling is going to save you in the very, very short term. But when you start the healing process, that swelling is going to get in the way. So you need to compress the area. You need to drain that fluid. And instead of ice, I actually like to use heat because it keeps the blood flowing better. And as soon as it's not so tender, I like to get it adjusted, because if you sprain the ankle, you've probably misaligned the joint. And even when the swelling goes down, that's not going to realign the joint. So, it might be very painful. Like when I rolled my ankle, I got it adjusted, within 30 minutes, within an hour, and it hurt like crazy, but it healed so much faster because the joint was aligned.
So within the inflammatory process, like while they're still hurt, you would recommend, if they can deal with the pain, I guess just go get adjusted. Can you adjust a fat swollen up ankle? Is that something you can do?
It is. I don't recommend it for everybody because, it's such a tender area. Not everybody's going to be able to handle that amount of pain.
Mhm.
But it's like, do you want the swelling to go down while the joint is misaligned, or do you want the swelling to go down while the joint is aligned? Obviously, you want the one that's aligned, but they may or may not be able to handle that. So you
So
could even just
they gotta wait 2-3 weeks or whatever for the swelling to go down. This is the normal kind of way.
typically, yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting to know. So if my player goes down, I run over there, I see it's pretty bad, I wrap it up, and what I would do is I would obviously get them off their foot. I would carry them off, wrap their foot, and then avoid the ice. So instead of throwing some ice, wrap it up instead of the ice. Is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, no. I don't like the ice either. I don't like the ice either because it helps the pain go away, but it actually
Yeah.
doesn't help the ankle heal. So, the reason why you ice is because it's so painful. So you're trying to numb the area, but it actually
Was
gets
it
in the
for
way.
numbing? Well, I mean, actually clarify what you mean, dude. Is it for numbing, or are people using it for both numbing and slowing the inflammation?
They're typically using it for numbing, in my opinion, because it'll like cool the area, but that doesn't slow the inflammation.
Got it. All right. Well, that's a big thing. I know plenty of coaches and trainers that think the ice is to stop the inflammation, but that's happening internally. You're not A bag of external ice is not going to stop this
No.
kind of process. So, instead of ice, can we just hit them with some Motrin or ibuprofen, something like that, to stop it from the inside?
It might help. It's kind of like a bandage, answer. The ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory, but it's
Right.
it's systemic. So
Yeah.
it's not just going to go to your ankle, it's going to go to your heart, to your brain, to your shoulder, everywhere in your whole body. It's in your bloodstream pretty much.
Right.
So it's basically just like here, take this and don't bother it for a while.
Right.
So I don't recommend that.
Ooh. Okay. So, well, these guys are going to feel a lot of pain. So they're just gonna have to deal with the pain, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, like you said, you stay off the ankle, you take some pressure off the ankle so that it has some time to decompress and heal.
Mhm.
Um, Go to a chiropractor. He may or may not fully adjust it, but even just pushing the joint back into alignment, the pain is going to subside substantially, right?
Mhm.
Because when the joint is out of alignment, every move you take is a micro injury.
Yeah.
So when you push it back into alignment, then the joint is like it's less in a stressed state, less inflamed, less painful, things like that. So that's my opinion.
Wow. Well, I'm very curious, very excited. I know I'm gonna come across a lot of more ankle injuries. So I'm a coach. I don't have access to a chiropractor, man. How can I help these dudes if they roll their ankle? Like what?
Well,
Give me like three things I could do.
as a coach,
Yeah, I got some tape. I got some pre-wrap with me. I got a little first
yeah,
aid kit. I got my brains.
yeah.
That's
If you
about
have
it.
some KT tape, you can do some anti-inflammatory taping. So like
Hmm.
you cut the band into like this like web, right? I'm sure you've seen like rock tape or KT tape do that. You
Yep.
cut it into a web and it pulls the fluids out from the surface of the skin, which is really, really good.
And move.
Um,
Okay.
you definitely want to brace the area temporarily just to stabilize it, just so you're not putting more forces through it because it's injured, right? So it
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense to go work it out the next day. Like you could actually cause more damage if you do that.
Mhm.
But you want to keep motion in the joint. You don't you basically when you injure the joint, right, your body's going to rush fluids and rush cells and rush blood into the area to try and stabilize and begin rebuilding that process, right? When they go to rebuild, you want it to rebuild in line with how the joint is actually shaped, because when it rushes in there, it's just flooding in there, stabilizing, inflaming, stabilizing. And you want to keep a little bit of motion in there so that the joint knows where to lay down more stability and where to keep more mobility.
So throw some KT tape on there. Try to get the blood running up and away from the ankle is what you're saying, and then immobilize it lightly, but not super stiff.
Yeah, not just throw some KT tape on it, but you cut it up into like a anti-inflammatory web, and you lay it down on the ankle, and the shape of the web of the KT tape pulling on the skin will help the blood vessels open up, and the swelling will reduce dramatically.
All right, well, that's a little complicated for me, but you will have to make another video of you wrapping up my ankle with KT tape, or we'll bring a test subject down and you can show us how to KT tape a web to help inflammation in the ankle. Is there anything else that I should be prepared for? I should help these guys or anybody that's suffering from an ankle sprain they should know?
In the beginning, it's really just about, resting it, like stop playing basketball for a little bit. You rolled your ankle, like, okay, you're going to have to give it, a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. When the inflammation finally goes down and when it starts to become really, really stiff, then you can start doing light exercise, make sure you're spiraling up the kinetic chain, down the kinetic chain, moving the joints so that they don't get fixated. You want the joints to be gliding, right? All the joints should be gliding on top of each other. But in the acute sprain, just rest. You could elevate it. I'm okay with elevation. I'm okay with rest. I'm okay with compression. I just don't like ice.
I got one thing that's been bugging me now. Now maybe you got some thoughts on it. I know we're wrapping up here, but what do you think about taping up the ankle like crazy, or the figure 8 ankle braces? I don't know. I went through so many of those when I was playing a lot, and then I've weaned myself off. I fixed myself, and I went from high tops, double ankle brace, heavy ankle brace, less ankle brace, no ankle brace, low tops. So what do you think? I know I'm in the minority. I'm going no ankle braces and stuff like that. I think it hurts more than it helps. But it's a crutch for a lot of players. What are your thoughts on ankle, braces and stuff?
I think it is a crutch, because the brace is there to support what your ankle is not able to do, right? And if you've been injured a bunch of times, that makes sense. You still got to play games, and you need that brace while you're not fully healed yet. But it becomes a crutch when you no longer do the rehab, you no longer do, the supporting exercises or specific exercises, and you just rely on the brace. So anytime I've ever had a bad ankle sprain, I was actually wearing high tops.
That's kind of weird. That makes total sense. Guys, my 2 cents. I'm not a doctor, but I've seen this. I've played it. I'm a corrective exercise, performance enhancement. The ankle brace, it will save your ankles a little bit, but it's going to move up to your knees, and then you're going to be wearing a knee brace. And then I don't think there's such thing as a hip brace. So you guys won't be moving very well, man. You're going to have an ankle brace, a fat knee brace on, and say goodbye to sports and moving. So really dedicate some time to really rehab your ankles. It's taken me forever to get my ankles to a place where I can do squats, lunges, all different kinds of stuff, and jump and play again. But it's worth it. I guess that's pretty much it for this topic, ankle sprains. We will make another video on how to wrap our ankles in KT tape. Dr. Landon will show us how to do that, so you guys can kind of educate yourself. If you do injure yourself, or if you're a coach watching, you can help your players out. All right, guys, until next time, keep moving pain-free. I'm Coach Tommy. That's Dr. Landon. We'll see you next time. Peace.